Mario Kart is loved by almost everyone. Even people who normally never play Nintendo games like this franchise. It's a party racing game, and they even made one for the 3DS so that you can have Mario Kart on the go and connect with friends to play it. Mario Kart 7. This was the 9th installment of the Mario Kart series overall, and the 7th in the main series, hence the game's title. There are a lot of new features the game introduced, like the hang gliding and underwater driving. Kart customization was also introduced, instead of racing in pre-made karts like in previous titles. Overall, the game did a lot of cool things, which made it a lot better and was needed as well to keep the games fresh. However, there were also some things that didn't make the cut. A lot of things actually, and that's what we're going to look at today. First up, we're going to take a look at an unused map in the files. It's very similar to Mario Circuit, with some small differences here and there, mostly little effects that were added later. The early track crashes while loading because the associated KMP file is an early version of that file format, and the model has an incorrect internal name. Clearly an earlier build of the map that was later on polished. By the looks of it, mostly small effects like leaves and lighting were added. Besides that, the course doesn't have any item boxes or coins. There are 3 large Goombas rather than 2 normal-sized ones, the air flowing from the pipes near the gliding section is missing, and some other things.
Now, there are also some unused models in the game, some of which are a bit weird. For example, this blue shell. It's found in the race common SCS, and the texture is slightly different than the one used for the blue shell item. This could be another early version, since the spikes on the shell aren't even there, so it could be that this was the base for the model. It looks a lot like the other shells, but in a different color, so it could be that they just recolored a green or a red one. Now, there's also something else in the race common SCS files that's a bit weird. A soccer ball. It has a realistic, fitting texture and a normal map, so it's likely that it was used for testing purposes as most models don't use normal maps. So, sadly enough, Nintendo was probably not planning to ever put this in the game, and even if they were thinking about it, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Now for our last unused model, we have quite a big one when it comes to size and how prominent it is in the game. The model Garage.bcmdl is an early version of the garage that serves as the background for the character or the kart select screen. Unlike the final version, the door is on the right hand side instead of the back, and the only decorations it has are some cables and a set of tires. It has no textures, but the vertex shading still remains. Yet again, an earlier build of something. This was most likely an alternate version that was later on changed because they weren't happy with it. Now, there are also some things left behind in the files that were in an extremely early stage of development. In itemReactTable.bin, if viewed in a hex editor, there are 2 unused item functions for a fake item box and Mega Mushroom, indicating that they were planned at one point during the development. It is possible to bring them back, but so far it just crashes the game, or a glitched item appears which does absolutely nothing. They probably crash the game because either the items are missing their item models or they have incomplete functions. If someone were to take the data for these items from Mario Kart Wii, they might possibly work. There are also no models as far as we know, so we think this is the biggest problem. They started working on the code, but never finished it completely. We don't know why they weren't added. Mario Kart doesn't have a lot of items, so it would have been a good thing to add them. However, it never happened. Now, in the files, there is even more unused data for certain features that didn't make the final cut.
Like in Mario Kart Wii, there's an unused value in the track settings file, which controls the number of laps. Modifying it doesn't seem to affect anything in the game. However, the game only has Lakitu signs for 3 laps, so it would be unable to properly indicate any extra laps. Clearly a feature they did some coding for, but no model making. Both of these features were most likely scrapped early on. There are also some things left behind for testing. Inside the file controlling the probability of getting an item from an item box, there are 2 test items referenced as Test 3 and Test 4, with 0 probability to appear. Changing either of their probabilities and getting them in-game will give you a star icon, which will disappear after pressing L or X. Now, this was made to test the item boxes, of course. Inside a file where all the kart body model names are, there's a reference to a kart body called STD LOD1 test, probably for testing. However, there isn't any model or file with that name. STD means standard, LOD means the model is used by other racers, and one test can mean that it's the first model for testing. So these were only made so that they could be used in the testing phase of the game. Mario Kart 7 was a great game. It added some cool new things to the classic formula. However, as you can clearly see, not everything was put in the game. Some things were left out for a good reason, like the test stuff or the earlier version of Mario Circuit. However, the extra laps would have been a great addition to the game. But no. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click the annotations on the screen right now, and be sure to click that bell button, because we have a new video every Friday, and you don't want to miss it.